Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back today, man. We got 7 craziest times murder suspects took the stand. If you committed a crime, if I'm guilty, I'm not taking a stand. If I'm innocent, it depends on the case whether or not I'll take the stand or not. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but even if you're innocent and you don't say the right thing, it still can mess you up in the end.
Yeah, that's why I said depending on what the type of case it is. Like if it's a murder case and I know I'm innocent, I'm not taking a stand.
You're not.
Because they're going to try to get you to, you know what I'm saying? But if it's something that got like, all right, I'm going to do 90 days in jail, but I need to get up there and try to convince them not, I'm going to take, you know what I'm saying? It just depends on the case, you know? Yeah. But if it's a murder, I'm a wholeheartedly hope my lawyer can get me off, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to plead the fifth, man. I'm not finna go up here and incriminate myself on nothing.
Yeah.
Especially if I know it ain't nothing, you know? Nothing I did.
Yeah.
But hey, with that being said, because I've seen people get up, take the stand in a murder trial, and convict themselves. Yeah. And it's like, dang, if you didn't take the stand, you know, like you might could have won.
Yeah.
But hey, with that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want to first support, all you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals.
Like it in with a thumbs up.
I do that so fast. Also, hey. No, this is the wrong channel. Hey, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, man. Don't forget to hit that subscribe. Also, if you feel you don't have to, but hit the notifications as well, man.
Yeah.
So you can be notified every time we upload. But let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it.
This is Robert Tellis, a former Nevada politician charged with the murder of a Las Vegas reporter who was investigating him. Tellis denies the charges, claiming he was framed.
You believe this was a professional hit?
That's what I believe.
And you believe someone hired to do this job, like an assassin, essentially, right?
That is what I believe, yes, sir.
You really think that looks like a professional killer?
I do. Again, it wasn't me, so.
The prosecution claims Tellis stabbed...
Does that look like him, see?
Well, how long has he been locked up? Like, I don't know if he was, like, what he looked like before he went to jail.
But also, I'll say this.
Like, if he was a little bit more slender or whatever.
That does, from my just viewpoint, sometimes the camera doesn't help that. Like, security camera footage doesn't help 100% with somebody's size.
Right, so I don't know. I can't say.
This could have been a way slender man. Could have been a heavier set man to get, you know. Like, I've noticed, like, those things, not especially if you ain't got a clear face. You might just got who you believe to be the murder suspect, but not a face.
And then even with him sitting up here saying, like, I feel like it was a hired professional job or whatever, it wasn't me. You could have hired someone, though.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for sure. He knows for sure that he probably wasn't the one that pulled the trigger or whatever happened. I don't know if it was it just.
But whoever it is smart as hell for wearing that type of hat, though.
I guess so.
Looks like a professional killer.
I do. Again, it wasn't me, so.
The prosecution claims Tellis stabbed Jeff Gehrman to death out of
stab.
anger after Gehrman exposed corruption in Tellis' workplace, which destroyed his career and reputation. Part of the attack was captured on neighborhood surveillance cameras, and police asked for the public's help in identifying the suspect. Tips led them to Tellis.
Ooh, they kind of got that same walk.
Oh, and that's one thing we didn't see from body cam.
Because he has like very like straight posture and that arm swing. It's the
one thing I ain't gonna hold you from watching so many body cams. If you get somebody on camera, you can't match the walk because it's hard for people to change their walk, especially after you walk like.
I've been mine sometimes, depending on how bad you know.
But your walk is your walk.
Yeah, but
mine, I have the same walk.
Yeah, you have like I have a distinctive. They'd be like, "Is that is definitely his walk?" Like,
in identifying the suspect, tips led them to Tellis.
Get out this car.
Tellis Tellis was soon arrested after DNA linked him to the crime scene. He pleaded not guilty.
How DNA link you to the crime
you
scene?
still
You had
seeing-
gloves on, you had everything. You ain't got no hair follicle. Boy, you must have.
That much
And
rage
I wonder what
when he's stabbing.
I
How
wonder
many
what
times?
I
'Cause
wonder
he
what
could've cut
car
himself.
who car that was that he was driving.
Oh, true.
Tellis was soon arrested after DNA linked him to the crime scene. He pleaded not guilty and claims he's innocent. Now on trial, against his defense attorney's advice, he insisted on taking the stand.
I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. Gurman. The way that he was murdered speaks to, I think, something or someone who knows what they're doing.
Tellis seems to be aiming to persuade the jury that this was the work of a professional killer.
Mr. Gurman's throat was slashed and his heart was stabbed. I don't know if anybody could just do that without some kind of training, without some kind of expertise. I'm personally not combat trained. Somebody frame me for this.
Although Tellis claims he was framed, under cross-examination, the prosecution now challenges his claims.
You had told this jury that it looked like someone who knew what they were doing.
Yes, sir.
And you believe someone hired to do this job, like an assassin, essentially, right?
That is what I believe, yes, sir.
The assassin seems to be wearing a giant sun hat. Fairly noticeable, right?
Yes, sir.
You think that might attract attention?
I would think so.
But this is
And he got a limp.
a sun hat. Fairly noticeable, right?
Yes, sir.
You think that might attract attention?
I would think so.
But this is a professional.
Right.
And this professional is also wearing a bright orange shirt, correct?
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't that attract attention?
I think that's part of the reason, actually. I could elaborate.
No. You believe that professional assassins want to draw attention to themselves when they're carrying out murder. That's your testimony?
When they're framing someone, yes, sir.
So the answer to my question is yes. You believe professional assassins like to draw attention to themselves.
It depends on what the nature of their goal is, and if it's to frame someone, yes, sir.
So the answer to my question is yes.
Yes, absolutely.
A crucial part of the murder was the vehicle used in the crime, which matched an SUV driven by Tellis.
And you don't disagree that's the killer's car, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a maroon Denali, am I right?
Yes, sir.
You own a maroon Denali, isn't that correct?
I do, sir.
Tellis argues the so-called professional killer wanted to be seen in a vehicle that's the same as his in order to frame him. However, the prosecution seeks to disprove Tellis's claims by highlighting the amateurish mistakes made during the killing.
This is after Mr. Gehrman has been killed, but if we watch this footage, isn't it true that we see the killer come back to the scene?
Yes.
And the killer seems to be looking around as if he forgot something, right?
I've watched the video. I don't know what he's doing.
But we know a professional killer killed someone in broad daylight, made it a point to park on a completely different street, but then for some reason decided, oops, I forgot something, and drove all the way back.
My belief is that he wanted to make sure to commit the crime, and then when he was done, he wanted to make sure the SUV was seen in front of the house.
Oh.
It wasn't me, so
Sir, doesn't that look a little amateurish?
I would like to think that I wouldn't use my own car if I was actually the person who did this.
Doesn't it look a little amateurish to take the steps to park on the side of the street, then you forget what you dropped, probably your murder weapon, wear this goofy sun hat, a bright orange shirt? I mean, you really...
The reason why you fucked up, right? You left something and you panicked because you knew. And so out of panic and needing to hurry, because you couldn't make that same little random stride back to the house, because now I didn't commit the murder.
Yeah.
I'm in panic and rush. I realized I left something that can link it back to me, so I have to hurry up and run back to get whatever I left. So you ain't even, when you're in a panic and a frenzy, you're not thinking I can't park right in front of the house. You just like, let me hurry up and, he was in a rush, bro. Damn, you fucked up. But you fucked up anyway because you walk. All I got to do is... what you were finna say?
Nothing.
Oh, and he drove his own car.
Oh, well.
Even if you had got a rental car can still be matched and tracked back to you. They do it all the time. Trust me, I used to work.
What was his reasoning for wanting to take this man's
Something
car?
with his business. It was a reporter, something about his business.
And it messed up his reputation or something?
Something like that, I don't know.
really think that looks like professional killer?
I do. Again, it wasn't me, so.
With a large amount of
The motive
evidence
was
already
trash
against
anyway.
him, the prosecution now focuses on DNA found under the victim's fingernails, which was linked to Tellis.
Sir, please tell this jury, how in the world does your DNA get underneath Mr. Gehrman's fingernails?
I don't know because I did not kill Mr. Gurman.
You and Mr. Gehrman are not friends, are you?
No.
Okay, you don't hang out with him ever?
I did not ever hang out with Mr. Gurman when he was
The answer
alive.
to my question is yes. You didn't hang out with him ever, correct?
I did not.
And yet, these two people who are not friends, your DNA just happens to be underneath his fingernails, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. You just don't think it was legitimately placed there, correct?
At some point or another, I believe it was planted because I did not kill Mr. Gurman.
Oh, the DNA lab's in on it too?
Investigators found pieces of a cut-up straw sun hat in Tellis's garage, similar to the one the killer wore in the video. They also found shoes.
Also, it is cause look,
Yeah,
the black is on the brim.
Sun hat in Tellis's.
And want me to tell you another thing they can do? They can do DNA samples. He's wearing a sun hat. Wearing hats, for those who don't know, it's protect you from sweating, but it doesn't prevent you from sweating. So you're still gonna sweat. All I gotta do is DNA swab this and see if there's any sweat stain matches back to your scalp. What you gonna say? Somebody plant my sweat there? Who the fuck gets your sweat?
Garage, similar to the one the killer wore in the video. They also found shoes in his house that looked identical to the killer's shoes.
Let's
Those are the killer
talk
shoes.
about your house for a second. That's your couch, right?
That is my couch.
And underneath your couch is a shoe and a chopped up shoe, right?
Right.
It's gray in color, correct?
Yes.
It has a black swoosh, correct?
Yes, sir.
It has
Dog.
4 vertical bars in the middle of that shoe, correct?
Yes, sir.
You would agree with me. That's the shoe that the killer was wearing, correct?
I don't know that that's the case.
I mean, it sure looks a heck of a lot like it, right?
Yes, it could be the same model, but it could be a different size.
Let's just look at it.
I don't disagree that it's the same model.
Right. It's the exact same type of shoe, right?
Right.
And your DNA is in those shoes that are found in your house, correct?
I don't know that to be the case.
Okay, but that's the whole thing of like, it's a setup and I think the DNA people are framing me. Something along those lines, right?
Whether it's them or someone else.
As cross-examination ends, Tellis makes a final attempt under redirect to
stupid.
prove his innocence to the jury.
I want to go over some of the items that were discussed during my cross-examination. I wasn't rich, but I did okay enough that I could rent a nondescript car. I couldn't see myself as the kind of person who would.
Which again will still be traced back to you.
Right.
As he did. Aaron Hernandez did the same thing. Was renting cars. It was traced back to him. I remember even when I was used to work for the company, and we talked about that Aaron Hernandez case and how it's like anybody rent any vehicle. You go and rent a vehicle to commit a crime. Trust me, if they come back to them and ask them, they have all documents to leave right back to you. We know the time, who had this car, who operated this car. Even if you pass the car on to somebody else, it's gonna come back to you though.
Right.
Only way you could have did that is you had somebody else go out here and get the rental car, and they give it to you. But then now it's on their end that they committed a murder. They gonna turn around and say, "I wasn't in the car, you were in the car."
Yeah.
And so now it's still gonna be traced back to you. So even if you try to go out here and rent a car to commit a crime, it still can be traced back to you. Like, please don't be that damn dumb. You already do. And I'll say this: a hitman is not even gonna arrive in an area in a car, right? You would think they would park several streets, several houses, several homes down. They're not even going to be seen, and they're going to scope out the scenery and figure out who the fuck got a Ring camera in the area and try to get those cameras some type of way deactivated before they even try to, like, that's not a train. And a trained assassin ain't even finna stab somebody. They're going to shoot them. Kill you further away. That's getting me further away from the fucking crime. Most is like, if it's 100% a 100% trained assassin, because that's what he tried to say.
Yeah.
It's a trained assassin. I don't think a trained. Now, if you just hired somebody to commit a crime, yeah, they might go in and stab them or something. You know what I'm saying? That's a. Was it somebody who's not? I'm looking for a word, but you don't never help me out with words. I help you out all day long. She can't never help me with words. I be looking, but like, see, help me.
I don't know what you're trying to
An
say.
amateur.
Oh.
Be foolish enough to use my own vehicle to allegedly commit any kind of crime. I did not buy a straw
Most people
hat.
do
I
use
did not
that.
buy a construction shirt. I don't believe that anybody should have their life cut short at the hands of another person. I didn't kill Mr. Gurman, and I'm innocent.
Now, the prosecution asks
Hell, nigga,
Tellis
look.
one final question.
At the end of the day, you're just the victim in this whole thing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
If you're on a jury, do you believe him? I'm saying, because even the way he said it, huh?
I said most times I can see through BS. Some people are just good liars. Some people are very good at manipulating.
But I'm saying in this regard,
no, all the evidence is
not even the evidence. Him sitting up there talking, looking directly at you.
well, just that alone. But I'm saying all the evidence.
Yeah. Also, he didn't look sympathetic at all.
On top of that, like, no.
And now this is the moment that Tellus will learn if he is found guilty or not.
We, the jury in the above entitled case, find the defendant, Robert Tellus, as follows. Murder with use of a deadly weapon. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon.
Boy, you dumb.
He is then sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 28 years.
Smile.
This is 23-year-old Eric Campbell. He is on trial for the murders of an elderly North Carolina couple and their 2 dogs. He's also accused of robbing them, burglarizing their home, and then setting it on fire.
Did you kill Dora and Jerome Faulkner?
No, I didn't.
Did you stab them with a knife?
No, sir.
Did you punch them or hit them?
No, sir.
Did you shoot them with a crossbow? Objection to...
No, sir.
Who did those things?
My dad.
Did you want your father to do those things?
No.
Prosecutors claim that Eric and his father, Edward Campbell, carried out a crime spree across multiple states, with the murders being part of it.
I didn't know I was going to be charged with murder because I didn't murder anybody.
Eric's defense argued that he did not kill Jerome and Dora Faulkner. They claimed he had been abused by his father and pressured into following his plan. They insisted that Eric was too afraid to stop him.
Now, how often did your dad use methamphetamine?
Every day. I used it for as long as I can remember.
Did your dad ever use physical force against you?
Yeah.
Were you afraid of your dad?
So I was.
Despite this, Eric is facing the death penalty, while Edward was never held accountable as he died in jail awaiting trial. Now Eric takes a stand in his own defense and blames his now dead father.
I ain't gonna lie, most lawyers gonna say that, put it on the dead. If I'm a lawyer, I'm representing you, I'm gonna say put it on the dead.
How old was he when his dad made him like start make?
And how long did the crimes last, you know?
Yeah, I want to know all that. Like, how old were you, and then when did this happen? Like, I need more in these details. I would have ran away.
For the brutal crimes that were committed.
He walked up to my front door and he rung the bell.
And where were you when he walked up to the front door?
At the corner of the house, just by the trees.
And what happened next after he went to the front door?
My dad rang the doorbell.
And what happened after your dad rang the doorbell?
There's a man that answered the door. My dad saying that our truck is broken down, if I could use your phone.
And then what happened?
He walked right in.
And he being, is that your father walked right?
Pay attention. Pay attention. You see, you peep what I peep?
What, the smirks?
No.
Oh.
I ain't even looking at them. I'm hearing.
Oh.
I'm hearing.
Okay.
Pay, look.
And what?
Well.
And where were you when he walked up to the front door?
At the corner of the house.
At the corner house behind the trees.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the corner of the house behind the trees, well, how you know what your dad went up there and said?
Maybe he could. Maybe he went that far. Like, maybe it's just right there at the edge of the porch. You can kind of hear.
No, your dad was at the.
That's why
corner.
I know what he said.
You swapping y'all places.
Probably.
Just by the trees.
And what happened next after he went to the front door?
My dad rang the doorbell.
And what happened after your dad rang the doorbell?
There's a man that answered the door. My dad saying that our truck is broken down, if I could use your phone.
And then what happened?
He walked right in.
And he being, is that your father walked right in?
Yeah.
And what happened next?
I started hearing yelling. Yelling come from the house, screaming. People saying, get out of my house. You're not welcome here. Hearing someone yell, we don't have any money. We don't have anything. Just get out.
And then what did you hear?
Somebody screaming, God help us, and a gunshot.
And what was going through your mind when you heard all that?
I was afraid that my father was robbing somebody, that somebody had just been shot, and somebody was.
At this point, Eric claims he was outside the home and then says his father forced him inside the house.
And what happened after he came out?
He grabbed me by my coat and just pulled me inside.
And what happened when you were inside? What'd you see?
There's liquid on the floor. I just remember seeing an arrow that was in somebody's chest and thinking that's not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be an arrow there.
Did you try to fight your father and stop him from doing this? Or
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because it happened very fast. I didn't know what to do.
The prosecution claims he helped his father during the crime spree. Now, during cross-examination, they press him on his involvement in.
Also, I need to know what was the cause of your dad's death? Was he terminally ill? So you telling me because he died in prison, right? Mm-hmm. Did he commit self-elimination, or did he die from an illness or a disease that he been had? So he would have already been bodily weak, right?
Yeah, and also a question that I have as well, because he said he heard shots. He was still outside at this time, right? Mm-hmm. And he heard shots. He heard the yelling, and then he heard shots. Were the two Was the man and the woman already down? Like, did he shoot both of them and then he pulled you in the house?
Well, he won't know. He won't know the information because he won't be privy to knowing those details.
Right, true. But he also said, "Did you try to fight your father off?" And he was like, "No, because it happened so fast. It would have already been like."
Well, he said fight your father off after he pulled you back in and seeing everything. Did you try to fight him
I'm just trying to put everything together, make sure I understand correctly.
His father during the crime spree. Now during cross-examination, they press him on his involvement in the deaths and try to connect him to one of the murder weapons, a spear that he was carrying.
Did he stab the guy with the spear that you had in your bag?
He said that he stabbed him, yes.
Well, did you see it?
I didn't see him stab him.
But you had the spear in your bag.
Yes, sir, I did.
So how did he get the spear out of your bag to stab them if you didn't see it?
He had jerked the bag off me and told me to go in the living room.
But you were outside, remember?
He pulled me inside.
But you were outside for 5 minutes or more. Is that what you said?
I don't know how long I was outside.
You said he shot the guy in the leg. He takes the spear. He starts beating him with it.
I know that's what it says.
Well, that's what it says because...
That's what you just said.
And that's
And you know what it is? He can't... He's remembering details, but he doesn't know how to remove himself
from it
and replace himself and his father.
Because you was there the entire time. And that's what I was trying to ask. I was like, that wouldn't have made sense. How he put it, like, it just doesn't make sense in my head. You would have to have been in the house the entire time. But that's...
Because that's what you told Sergeant Baker.
I tried to get everything in the right order, and I probably did not.
Okay.
I know I did not.
But most importantly, you got everything in the right order this time because you were actually in the house when this was happening. Is that right?
No, it's not right.
Well, how did you know everything was happening if you were outside at the corner of the house?
Because my dad explained everything to me when I was in the office.
All right, but
he
you didn't tell them that, did you?
All I remember seeing is my dad shoot cops and see 2 dead bodies and remember a smell inside that house that I cannot forget.
Now on day 2 of cross-examination.
Loki looked like he was trying to smile. Or see, I ain't got nothing on me.
The prosecutor questions Eric about what happened after the murders. While the Faulkners were dead, Eric and his father drove to Walmart to buy supplies to burn the house down. Then Eric is asked why he didn't drive away when he had the chance.
You were sitting in the parking lot and you saw your dad walk through the 2 sets of glass doors into a Walmart that was about to close.
I didn't see him walk through the glass doors. I was sitting in the driver's seat and I was staring at the steering wheel.
You didn't drive away, did you?
I didn't drive away because I was scared my father was going to come back out and start shooting. And even if I did drive away, he would have killed somebody in there and taken their car.
Well, you weren't concerned about him killing the Faulkners, were you?
I didn't know he was going to kill the Faulkners.
Eric's defense was that he didn't run away because he was afraid of his father. However, the prosecution now highlights Edward's shootout with the police, during which Eric chose to flee in the Faulkners' truck, with their bodies being in it.
He could have gotten out of that car and he could have said to Lieutenant Dove, I need your help. There are 2 dead bodies in the back of that truck and I am scared to death. But he didn't do that because that...
Oh, he hit the old people in the back of the truck?
Facts.
But I thought, why not just burn the house down and burn with the bodies?
Evidence, DNA, theirs, maybe. Want to cover it up.
But I still would have left the bodies there.
True.
That don't make fucking sense.
Nothing does.
And he could have said to Lieutenant Dove, I need your help. There are 2 dead bodies in the back of that truck and I am scared to death. But he didn't do that because that is not what was going through his mind. What was going through his mind is I got to get out of here because I'm about to get caught.
Although Eric claimed he wasn't a willing participant in the brutal crimes, the jury didn't believe him, and he was found guilty, but avoided the death penalty and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole.
You have unanimously recommended that the defendant be sentenced to life imprisonment.
This is Joshua Gelker and his 17-year-old son, Joshua Young. Young is...
You think he got what he deserved?
Yes. Because I'm thinking he, like, young. Like, I didn't know, like, when things started or when this, like, actually happened. Like, how old he was. Yeah. Boy, you big.
You a grown man.
You grown. Man.
He's more willing participant than he wanted to 100% admit. Now, do I feel like he willingly participated in the crimes in the beginning? No. But over time, you and your dad, that was a bonding thing.
It became...
That y'all did. So y'all committed crime together as a bond, a weird bond that y'all have. And that happens. Like, I can't...
But yeah.
is charged with complicity to murder and tampering with evidence in the brutal killing of his 14-year-old stepbrother in Louisville, Kentucky. Young is on trial, but months earlier, his father, Gelker, admitted to committing the murder. After he was sentenced to life in prison, Gelker appears at his son's trial, repeating what he's already told the court. He alone is responsible for killing his stepson, and his son Joshua had nothing to do with it.
And what are you...
He only admitting that so he's free his son. Because it's the stepson. He has a bond with his son, not the stepson. His son committed the murder. I'd rather throw my life away than my son.
Which most parents would do that. But at the end of the day, if your son took someone's life, who's to say that he wouldn't take someone else if he was to get off?
Your brother's going to take a murder charge for his son? Hell no. Fuck them.
I would pray that he ain't out here trying
to. What I'm saying, I'm saying something like that.
But some parents do this.
Fuck them.
No.
You know what I say? Fuck them kids. You committed a murder, you go to jail for it. You gotta learn from your crime.
Most definitely.
I'm not finna throw my life away.
But I'm just saying I've seen this happen before. That's all I'm saying. But no, I'm not because.
Fuck 'em. That's what I say. Fuck 'em.
Serving life for what?
Killing Trey. I admitted everything I've done. I've been sentenced for it, life in prison. Yet here I am, going over this same story.
Gelker also testifies that he killed his stepson by beating him with a pipe. He then said he disposed of the pipe and bloody clothes the next day.
You took the pipe and your clothes to a dumpster, is that right?
Not that night, but yeah.
Where'd you put him that night?
In the backyard.
When did you take him to the dumpster?
The next morning.
Gelker is now being questioned about the statements he made when he pled guilty.
Did you enter into a guilty plea or did a jury find you guilty?
I just pled guilty.
Can you tell the jury what you told the judge when you pled guilty?
That I killed him for stealing from me and for keeping on stealing. But that wasn't really the real. I mean, I don't know. It just felt right at the time, but that wasn't why. It's not like I wanted Trey to die, or if I could do it over, I'd kill him again. None of that.
Prosecutors suspect he is covering for Young and aren't convinced by the father's story. They continue to press Gelker for more details.
While you were out there playing Mortal Kombat, Trey came downstairs?
I don't know if he came downstairs or came in from the back porch or where he came from. I know what you're doing. You're trying to make microscopic little holes in the that I didn't even give a about 2 years ago. So how can I tell you the exact thing now when I really didn't give a then?
If you're telling the truth, it shouldn't be too hard.
Now as Young's trial comes to an end, this is the moment that he is found not guilty on both charges.
Verdict form number 1, murder. We, the jury, find the defendant Joshua Young not guilty under instruction number 1. Verdict form number 2.
That man say,
yeah. He wanted to hit them folks.
What you said? He already had a smirk on his face before they even read through the thing.
Jury of his peers, huh?
I wonder what he doing now.
He on both charges.
Verdict form number 1, murder. We, the jury, find the defendant Joshua Young not guilty under instruction number 1. Verdict form number 2, tampering with physical evidence. We, the jury, find the defendant Joshua Young not guilty.
Young is now free of all charges. But 7 months later, Gelker was serving his life sentence and is now attempting to withdraw his guilty plea. He claims he was only trying to protect his son by taking the blame.
My attorney knew what I was doing, knew that I was going to come in here and lie and take the blame for my son, and not only allowed me to do it, but...
Boy, you had the opportunity. Go ahead, talk.
It's still a smart play. No. Still smart play.
Get his son.
Double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy.
Now I can come and say my son.
But then they can just
be say lying under oath, perjury. You can still go to jail.
Yeah.
But you don't have to spend the rest of your life.
Child.
But I hope your ass still go down for it. I don't. And the jury, they had.
And why did your son take his life? What was like?
No, the jury's still a dumbass jury.
Yeah.
But it's Kentucky.
that coached me along the way.
You know, it's kind of interesting that I asked you the question during the plea hearing that was it your plan to, at a later date, try and set aside your guilty plea? Remember that?
Yes, sir. And that wasn't a lie. I mean, I've admitted I've lied throughout the whole thing. But I thought, even though at that moment Josh was still charged with this, that as soon as that went everywhere, that I said I did it, you accepted my guilty plea, I thought they would dismiss it. And then
That was all part of your master plan.
Well, I mean, I had to do whatever I could, man, to save my son. He's facing life in prison. He was a kid.
A judge later denied Gelker's appeal to vacate his murder conviction. But more than 5 years later, Young continued to go in and out of jail. While behind bars, he wrote a detailed confession letter for the murder of his stepbrother, stating he was ready to get the truth out there and claiming he was the true killer and he acted alone. Reportedly, even with the confession letter, under the legal principle of double jeopardy, Young cannot be tried again in a criminal case for the murder after having already been found not guilty.
But it's not necessarily a federal case though, because it's not a federal offense.
I see that coming. Like, you done took this boy whole life. I already knew you was leading down a
path of destruction.
Yes.
Man, that jury dumb than a motherfucker.
Tattoos on his face.
Jury
crazy.
so.
That very much so.
Like we
very
all,
much so.
So on his celebration, he guilty. He said, hit them folks.
I said, okay.
And you knew the daddy. So, I wonder if the dad's still in jail.
Probably.
Bro, we ain't get that detail. The dad's
I guess
still
so,
in jail.
because they denied. I mean, I guess he could have went back up for it again.
His appeal got denied.
But it got denied then.
This is Danielle Redlick. She is charged with the killing of her husband with a kitchen knife in Winter Park, Florida.
I'm just looking at him and I'm trying to figure it out. And at that point, I was thinking, oh my gosh, did he die?
Danielle's husband, Michael Redlick, was stabbed to death in their home. Nearly a day later, Danielle reportedly called 911 and claimed that he had stabbed himself.
So you stood in that home.
I hate when people be like,
you can never. I don't think it. Now you can.
You can.
But how many times?
And where?
How many times and where? I don't like just stab yourself. Like they say, somebody stabbed himself 30 times. Hell no. No.
With the power to call for help, and you let your husband bleed to death on that floor.
Danielle is accused of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. In court, she is asked how she met her husband, who was previously her stepfather before they got married.
When did you first meet Michael?
1996. I was about 22, 23 years old.
What are the circumstances of you meeting him?
Well, I actually met him through my mother. He and I came together under kind of unique circumstances, but prior to us, he was actually dating my mother.
So was Michael your stepfather at one point?
I guess technically, however, I didn't look at him that way.
How long?
Well, hold on. She said dating. Well,
they weren't married.
They weren't married. Still weird.
But that's still nasty.
Yeah.
I don't want to know my mama in the head.
Because also she's not gonna look at him like that because she's older. She was grown.
Older.
She was grown with it. But if your mom and him wasn't married, that's not stepfather. But
that's why I guess she said technically, not
well,
really, but technically.
Honestly,
but
dating still not technically. If there's no paperwork, then no.
Girl, you could have went out and got anybody. What you want your mama?
Because he got a check.
How long were they married?
Well, they were only married, I think,
they
6
were married?
months. They were together a couple years.
How old were you during that time?
22, 23 years old.
What's the age difference between you and Mr. Redlick?
21 years.
So how do we go from stepdad to something else?
My mom met Michael and they started dating. She discovered shortly after they were dating that she had an aggressive stage 4 breast cancer. And so they got married, and within 3 to 6 months after that, she passed away.
Initially, Danielle had claimed that Michael's...
Hey, you gonna come...
Her mom.
Hey, you come scoop... Man, what the weird shit? Trauma bonded.
Stabbed himself once in the shoulder during an altercation.
You were asked what happened, and you explained we had an altercation and he stabbed himself. This was a lie, Miss Redlick.
Yes.
And you wanted this 911 operator to believe your lie, correct?
Yes.
The death was later ruled a homicide. Now with Danielle on trial, she takes the stand in an attempt to convince the jury that she had acted in self-defense. Her defense attorney now questions her.
Ms. Redlick, on January 11th, did you stab your husband?
I did.
Why? Why?
He was suffocating me. I couldn't breathe, and he had me pinned down.
Can you explain more?
I was scared, and I was just in fear for my life. I thought he snapped, and I could die.
Why were you in fear for your life? Why did you think that you could die in that circumstance?
How he had me pinned down, and I couldn't breathe. Just the look in his eye, his anger, and I couldn't get away.
You're trying to get away?
I was.
Do you have any choice but to use a weapon to get away?
No.
How many times did you stab him?
Once.
Now Danielle goes into detail explaining how the stabbing actually happened.
I was on my knees, so as I was coming up, he grabbed me by the collar, and at that point, I grabbed the center island, and I reach up to pull myself up to face him, and that's when he takes his right hand, he grabs me here, and slams me down onto the center island counter.
What's going through your mind at this point?
Well, I'm scared. I'm thinking I'm under attack.
Using the bar in front of you, can you demonstrate how your head is positioned?
Yeah, so I turned around this way, he grabbed me this way, pulled me down, pinned sort of this way, and he takes his hand, he's smashing my head, and he grinds his fist into my face, and then both his hands over my hand and my nose, and he's pressing as hard as he can, smashing my nose into my face.
Are you able to breathe?
No.
When you realize that you're not able to breathe, what's in your mind at that point?
That he snapped and that he's probably gonna kill me.
You're reaching with your hand. What do you find?
The drawer on the end.
What do you find in that drawer?
My knife. Pull the knife out. He says, "What, are you gonna stab me?" And I take the knife and I position it and face it toward him.
What does he do at that point?
He immediately just goes for my chin and pushes me back, and I stab him at that point.
Prosecutors argued that Redlick was unhappy in her marriage and wanted a life without Michael. They claim she had evil intent when she killed her husband. Now it's the prosecutor's turn to ask the questions.
A life without Michael Redlick was a life that you were looking forward to living.
Well, life at peace with Michael Redlick.
Without him in your life as your husband.
If it was not going to be at peace, then no.
You wanted a life beyond Michael, correct?
Yes, at that point, yes.
When you said he grabbed it and he made a motion, you were describing Mr. Redlick with the knife in his hand making a motion towards himself, correct?
At that point, yes.
And that's a lie.
Yes.
That's a detailed lie, correct?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
You are making up specific details to build out this lie, are you not?
I'm mixing some of the truth with some of the false.
So, standing there over your husband in this moment where you think he can be saved, instead of taking your finger and doing 3 little moves, 911, you begin to perform amateur CPR on him, correct?
Yes.
You said at the end of that call, before you noticed police and fire out front, it doesn't look good for me.
Yes.
That's the truth, Miss Redlick. It doesn't look good.
Objection, argumentative.
I have no further questions of this witness.
And now this is the moment that the jury has decided if she is guilty or not.
State of Florida versus Danielle Justine Redlick. Verdict as to count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. So say we all sign juror badge number 283.
Danielle was just found not guilty of murder, but she still faces a charge of tampering with evidence.
Verdict as to count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of tampering with physical evidence.
But she had already served nearly 3 years in jail. As a result, she was sentenced to time served plus 1 additional year of probation. This is her walking out of jail.
How does it feel to be with your family right now, your dad picking you up?
Amazing. This was a walk of faith.
What's the first thing you're gonna do?
Call my kids.
How to get away with murder? You're looking at the face of it. The previous case, how to get away with murder? You're looking at the face of it.
That's crazy.
If you catch my drift.
That is so crazy, man.
Literally got away with murder.
This is Amber Geiger, a former police officer who was found guilty of murder in Dallas, Texas.
That's when you decided to shoot twice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's called a double tap, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you were intending?
Yes, sir.
That's your training, isn't it?
It's what we're trained to do.
Geiger had worked 13 hours on duty, then returned to her apartment complex, where she had lived for just under 2 months. She was in uniform, but off duty when she approached what she...
What?
You shaking, when you shake, it goes like shake.
My bad, y'all.
He thought was her apartment. She noticed the door was partially open.
You can tell it's open a little bit. I'm like, someone's in here. I hear moving around, and so I automatically draw my weapon.
She then in uniform, but off duty when she approached what she thought was her apartment. She know.
I was like, y'all ain't got no numbers, indicators.
That was always kind of like.
That's the main thing I wonder, because I ain't never seen it like an apartment or something that don't have a door indicator. But I could be wrong. It is in Dallas, more forward-driven community, so they might not have.
Well, yeah. Never mind.
Noticed the door was partially open.
You can tell it's open a little bit. I'm like, someone's in here. I hear moving around, and so I automatically draw my weapon.
She then saw a man inside who she believed to be an intruder. She then fired her service weapon, which killed him.
I'm holding the door open. I see.
How will he be able to gain access to your crib, dear shorty? If that's the case.
The shadow way back there. I said, let me see your hands, let me see your hands. There he ended up towards the armrest of the couch, and I shoot 2 times. I'm thinking because he's moving around so much, he's not listening.
She was actually at the apartment directly above hers, where 26-year-old Botham Jean lived. Prosecutors said Jean had been on the couch watching TV, eating vanilla ice cream, when Geiger walked in and fatally shot him.
Amber Geiger firmly and reasonably believed that she had confronted an intruder in her apartment.
Now in court, Geiger is facing murder charges. And now this is where she takes...
My thing is, when you go in an apartment, you're not looking around. Like what you just focused on, because I would have been like, this ain't my apartment. Ain't none of this stuff in here mine. Is the layout even the same? Like walking into it. You know what I'm saying? Like
if you walked into it, you would have pushed the door open.
This ain't mine.
And then, I'm sorry. You would have, as soon as you walked in, if he has a sign or anything.
But the first thing you thinking about is just
trigger happy cops.
Just to shoot.
And honestly, with that being said, should she even been a police officer since she has during these type of situations? You can't work under pressure. You blame it because I've had long work hours. So hey, how about a situation where you working long work hours and right before your shift ends, you get an important phone call. Important call, you got to go rush to it. Sometimes you can't clock out. You got to go. Yeah. But because I'm so tired, I'm delirious, and so that just shows that you have very poor, Yeah. So I don't think she should have been a police officer in the first place.
Thanks.
Takes the stand in her own defense.
Why did you shoot?
I was scared he was going to kill me.
What did the figure do after you said, let me see your hands?
Started coming towards me.
How fast was he coming towards you?
At a fast-paced walk.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna come towards you because you
are breaking in. You're breaking in.
Yeah.
So, this point, I'm scared for my life. Who are you? Anybody can go out and buy a police uniform and get a gun. Like,
trust me, I know.
Like what?
I had a classmate did it.
Oh yeah.
Personated police officer.
That was crazy.
That's a happens
situation.
Thing as he was walking towards you.
He was yelling, hey, 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 in an aggressive voice.
When you saw the figure, could you tell man, woman, anything like that?
In the back of the room, no, you could not see who it was.
You now know you weren't on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
But you believed you were.
I believed I was.
So did you walk up the stairs or did you take an elevator? Because there's a difference between person number 3 and person number 4. Or do y'all walk up the stairs, which is also a difference between walking up a flight of 3 stairs and a flight of 4 stairs.
Yeah.
And the figure was moving around as you described?
Yes, I have my gun pointed, and I'm saying, let me see your hands, let me see your hands.
And then he began coming towards you?
Yes.
After you fired those shots, what's the next thing that you did?
I walked fully inside the apartment. I still had my gun outside since at that point I didn't know if he was armed. It wasn't to that point when I got to the counter area when everything started realizing that this wasn't my apartment.
As you're getting closer, what was going through your mind?
As I was getting closer, that's when it started hitting me that this guy, I have no idea who he is. And that's when everything just started to spin. I was confused, and that's when I dialed 911.
Where were you when you started to dial 911?
I was kneeling down next to him.
Did you know what had happened or starting to process what happened when you knelt down next to him?
I knew I had shot him. I wasn't sure where he was hit on his body. I started doing some compressions with my left hand.
What were you doing with your right hand?
I was on the phone with 911.
Why did you fire?
I was scared. I was scared this person's apartment was gonna hurt me. And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
How do you feel what you did?
I feel like a terrible person. And I hate myself every single day. wish he was the one with the gun that killed me.
Prosecutors then cross-examine her and question her decision-making before and after the shooting.
Good morning, Ms. Geiger.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask you several questions today concerning the events of September the 6th, and in particular your testimony, okay?
Yes, sir.
One of the things that you obviously wanted to communicate to the jury is just about how bad you feel about what you did to Mr. Jean. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, the prosecution questions Geiger's CPR efforts after she shot him.
You also indicated that you had done CPR, but yet there's no blood anywhere on your uniform or on your shoes.
There is not.
Ms. Geiger, were you trained to do CPR properly?
Yes, we were.
Did you properly perform CPR on Mr. Jean?
No, I did not.
And you could have, right?
I tried to do a little CPR.
Why would you try and do a little CPR on a man who's dying who needs your full attention?
Because I had to keep getting up to see where I was at.
That was more important than giving life-saving help to this man.
I had no idea where I was at.
You were able to tell the
So why, no, it does matter. Because why would you breach the apartment if you had no idea where you was at? Because honestly, that's pure negligence for you not even to know that this is not even your spot.
Yeah, prior, but I'm saying in this moment, at this very moment, someone needs your attention.
And that's what you signed up to do, right?
That's what you signed up to do.
911 call taker very, very soon on that you were in apartment 1478. After that moment, why couldn't you have given him full, undivided, and proper attention?
I was still on the phone with...
You can put the phone on speakerphone, ma'am.
I had so much stuff racing through my head.
You know what a bullet is, don't you?
I do.
So you knew when you were shooting that gun that you were using deadly force against Mr. Jean.
Yes, it was a threat at the time.
Ma'am, will you answer my questions, please?
Yes, sir.
When you shot at Mr. Jean, you knew you were using deadly force against him.
Yes.
You know what a bullet can do, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And when you shot at him twice, you intended to kill him.
Yes, sir.
All right. So all this stuff about it being a sad mistake, at the moment in time when rubber meets the road, when you pulled that trigger, you intended to kill Mr. Jean.
He was the threat. Yes, sir.
And here, the prosecution presses Geiger on the choices available to her before she entered the apartment.
I want to talk to you now about the decision before you actually went in. You could hear movement inside.
Want me to tell you another thing? When you go into, you like, a lot of people, they step back, they look. First, they don't just freeze, motherfucker, freeze. You know what I'm saying? If I see my door open, I'm, oh, what the fuck?
And this is another
surround
thing.
it to see. You're an officer. You're trained to scope the situation before acting on the situation, right? So why didn't you try to look and see if it's a possible breach of entry? You see the door open, you should have, because you don't even know what you're walking into as a single officer. Y'all are trained not to go into a situation solo dolo. Right. So you're supposed to check and see, is there a breach of entry?
Doesn't look like
and I'm going into my home.
Right.
The door is open. Let me check this around and see.
And this is also a thing that I don't know if they were able to determine or if it's even true or not, because he's no longer here to say. Because if he was sitting on his couch, eating ice cream or whatever, I can clearly look over and see that my door is open or cracked or whatever the case may be. I wonder, was his door just unlocked and you walked in?
Or ajar.
Or just, kind of like... But that's the thing. She said that it was ajar. Like that's why she thought someone had broken into her apartment. But I'm wondering, was it just unlocked?
True.
And you put the key in and you realize and you thinking you unlocking it, but it actually was already unlocked and you just walked in. Mm-hmm. I do wonder that. I've always wondered that. But
because also looking at the door handle, it wasn't one of those where you had the key. It's the ones that they got the badge. Okay. It was a badge joint.
It wasn't.
That would look like, to me, it looked like a badge joint. It didn't look like a physical key fob. It looked like a key fob, not necessarily a physical key.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
No, you good.
Like shuffling or moving.
But they showed the
Yes.
door again.
Okay. Your options were, at this point, to go in and find the threat, or your option would have been, I'm going to back off, I'm going to take a position of cover and concealment, and I'm going to get some help out here. Those are options, right?
They are.
Those are options.
You chose option A, which was, I'm going in to find the threat.
That was the only option that went through my head.
But that's not
the option. That shouldn't be the only option.
But that's not your trained option. a real trained officer doesn't.
Off duty, on duty, whatever duty.
They don't enter.
You would still be in that same mindset.
Yeah, you call for assistance.
I was at home and
Ma'am, will you answer my questions?
Yes, sir.
So for your safety, you should have taken a position of cover and concealment and got help. And instead you decided to go in.
Yes, I did go in.
You had a police radio on you, didn't you?
I did.
Oh.
You did?
So you live 2 blocks away from police headquarters?
Oh.
Yes, sir.
You know that the response time on this call was about 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
You could have had SWAT mobilized.
They could have.
You could have had K-9 mobilized.
They could have also.
Right. And had you done any one of those things, Mr. Jean would probably be alive today, right?
Yes, sir.
After an emotional cross-examination, the judge now reads the jury's verdict.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Amber Geiger, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment. No outburst.
After the judge calls for a break, you can hear screams outside the courtroom. Now Geiger will receive her sentence.
The defendant's punishment at 10 years imprisonment.
After the sentence was handed down,
I still think that was a bullshit ass sentence, though.
I
do feel like it should have been second degree, or at least manslaughter. Mm-hmm. And I feel as though because she wasn't gonna get life, but I think 20 to 25 years would have been way more justifiable than 10 years.
Jean's younger brother, Brant, takes the stand for a victim impact statement.
I don't want to say twice or for the 100th time what you've or how much you've taken from us. I think you know that.
And this is where Brant actually forgives Geiger.
If you truly are sorry, I know I can speak for myself. I forgive you. And I don't think anyone could say it, but I love you just like anyone else. And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail.
He then asks the judge's permission to hug Geiger.
I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
Geiger is currently serving her 10-year sentence at Mountain View State Prison in Gatesville, Texas, but she will be eligible for parole in 2024.
She eligible for parole last year.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, when you made this video?
This is Alec Murdaugh, a former lawyer accused of killing his wife and son in South Carolina.
Mr. Murdaugh, are you a family annihilator?
A family annihilator? You mean like, did I shoot my wife and my son?
Yes.
No. Would
I ain't even
never
got pause
hurt Maggie Murdaugh. I would never hurt Paul Murdaugh under any circumstances.
Alec claims he's innocent and he did not kill Maggie and Paul. However, prosecutors allege he murdered his wife and son to distract from his string of alleged financial crimes, as his multi-million-dollar fraud scheme was about to be exposed.
And you would agree with me that for years you were stealing money from clients?
Yes, sir, I agree with that.
And that you were stealing from your law firm?
Yes, sir, I agree with that.
Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were found dead near the dog kennels at their family property, both suffering multiple gunshot wounds. Their bodies were discovered by Alec, who told authorities he had been out at the time and found them upon returning to their property.
Did you see them on the ground when you're pulling up in your Suburban?
I did.
And what'd you do when you came to a stop, Alec?
No, I got out of my car. No, I ran back to my car, called 911, and I was trying to tend to Paul. I was trying to tend to Maggie, and I just went back and forth between them.
Alec was arrested more than a year later after the killings and charged with their murders. He pleaded not guilty. Now on trial, Alec takes the stand in his own defense, trying to convince the jury that he is not guilty of these horrific crimes.
Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and shoot your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdoch, did you take a 300 blackout and fire it into your wife Maggie's leg, torso, or any part of her body?
No, I did not.
Did you shoot a 300 blackout into her head, causing her death?
I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime, ever.
A key piece of evidence was Alec's claim that he didn't go to the dog kennels that night until he found the bodies. But reportedly, a cell phone video captured his voice there minutes before the murders. He now admits he lied about being at the kennels.
Mr. Murdoch, is that you on the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
It is.
Were you in fact at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to Sled Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland?
I did lie to them. On June the 7th, I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason, and I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did. I'm sorry to Mags and Paw. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them.
You continued lying after that night, did you not?
But once I lied, I continued to lie. Yes, sir.
Alec now explains how he got blood on himself.
Alec, you've talked about going to Paul's body and Maggie's body. Do you recall getting blood on you, on your hands, or any part of you?
Yes.
Do you know whose blood you would have gotten on you?
I know I got blood on my fingertips.
Can you differentiate, whether it was Maggie or Paul?
Probably both. There was so much blood.
Did you get on your shirt high velocity blood spatter from being within a distance of a shooting Maggie or Paul?
There's no way that I had high velocity blood spatter on me.
Had you seen reports that said that at one point in time?
I have seen reports that said that.
Do you love Paul?
Did I love him like no other? He and Buster.
Do you love Maggie?
More than anything. I love Maggie from the first time we went out.
Did you kill Maggie?
No, I did not kill Maggie. Did not kill Paul. I would never hurt Maggie, and I would never hurt Paul, ever, under any circumstances.
Now it's the cross-examination, and the prosecution questions Alec about his lie regarding being at the kennels.
Mr. Murdoch, let's start with a few things I think we can agree on.
All right, sir.
You agree that the most important part of your testimony here today is explaining your lie for a year and a half that you were never down at those kennels at 8:44. Would you agree with that?
I think all of my testimony is important.
Would you agree that that's an important part of your testimony?
Sure.
All right. You also looked at this jury and tried to tell them that you had been cooperative in this investigation.
Other than lying to them about going to the kennel, I was cooperative in every aspect of this investigation.
Very cooperative, except for maybe the most important fact of all, that you were at the murder scene with the victims just minutes before they died, right?
I did not tell them that I went to the kennel.
Alec is then questioned about what he told law enforcement when he found the bodies.
You got out of the car, according to what you told law enforcement repeatedly, and went and checked the bodies, correct? Before you called 911. Is that correct?
No, sir, that's not correct.
You're saying you didn't say that to law enforcement?
I don't know what I said to law enforcement, Mr. Waters, but I can tell you this. I pulled up and I saw Mags and Paw. I jumped out of that car and knew that I went back to my car and I called 911 as quickly as I could. At that point in time, when I got on the phone, then is when I went to them and did the things that I did.
The prosecution then asks Alec one final question.
And you also said during your testimony on cross-examination that you hurt the ones you love the most, didn't you?
I did say that.
Thank you. Nothing further.
As the trial comes to an end, the jury reached a verdict after less than 3 hours of deliberation.
Indictment for murder, guilty, verdict.
Alec was found guilty on both counts of murder and was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
I ain't have to pause on that one, y'all. I studied that case from top to bottom. I watched every last ounce of that case.
Yeah, invested. Because I was like...
The only thing with that case, wholeheartedly, deep down, I believe, he didn't do it by himself. I wholeheartedly believe he did it in some shape, form, or fashion, but he didn't do it alone. I can't say who did it with him.
But you don't think he was by himself?
No. And I do believe his kids committed a lot of crime. A lot of people in that community were hurt because of that family.
Yeah.
And that's one reason, one part of the motive. But I don't think he did it solely just by himself. I do think he had help. And I think the help got out of there before cops came. And it is what it is.
Yep.
Even if he didn't pull the trigger, he didn't pull the trigger. He had a big play in it. with committing both murders. Yep. Because I just can't fathom his old, slow-moving ass was able to kill both of them the way he did. And so fast. Yeah, but bodies, because the bodies, one body was over here near the kennels in that area. That was the son. And the manner he killed the son, and then he would have had to turn, and it did look like Maggie was trying to flee.
Yeah.
And you would have had, and that just, to me, he would have had to operate fast as hell.
Somebody that is experienced in shooting.
But he's old and he moves slow. And I think he had like a bad knee. It just was like his body just didn't give me that I can make these moves fast. But again, I don't know. It's a possibility he was able to pop him, Maggie, take off running, and he gunned her down from a longer range. But also, I think it was two different guns used.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I was like, how is he able to, that's some Rambo type shit. But anything's possible,
Anything's possible.
This is Jessica Groves, who along with her husband...
We know this story too. I ain't got to pause on this one.
Daniel Groves are both charged with the murder of their own 2-month-old child in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Tell the jury how you killed this baby.
It was an accident.
Not your excuse. How did you murder this baby? How did you cause these injuries?
Reportedly, when the father found the child unresponsive, he later testified he didn't alert authorities because his wife threatened to blame him. That's when the child's body was found at the bottom of a 30-foot well inside a milk crate, wrapped in plastic. Reports found that the child suffered fractures to his skull, arms, ribs, and leg.
These defendants dumped him in a dark 30-foot well of water and left him there for months. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that had Detective Conkle not had the training and experience to put them in a room together and listen to what they were saying, we would have never found baby Dylan's body. You listen to the whispering. If they find his body, we're effed.
Jessica and Daniel face aggravated murder charges, meaning the prosecution believes the child's death was not an accident and claims it was a deliberate act.
A chain, 3 padlocks, 12 zip ties, 8 wire ties, 18 rocks, 6 layers of plastic and duct tape. Does this look like panic? I submit to you it looks like extreme planning.
The mother and father initially pleaded not guilty, but now they are standing trial together and have both decided to testify. They now claim Jessica was solely responsible for the baby's death, and that Daniel had nothing to do with it apart from helping hide the body.
Jessica, did you, and you only, cause the death of your son, Dylan Groves?
Yes.
Did Daniel Groves participate in the killing of Dylan?
No.
Was Daniel Groves aware of any of the injuries that you caused that may have led to his death?
No.
Did you hide all injuries that you caused Dylan from your husband?
Yes.
Where did you take Dylan after he died?
He was at our house for a couple days.
And then where did you take him?
To the well.
Did you murder Dylan Groves?
Not intentionally.
No further questions, Your Honor.
After Jessica admitted to causing the child's death, it is now the prosecutor's turn to cross-examine her and ask exactly how she killed her son.
How did you murder this baby? How did you cause these injuries?
I have sit here and admitted.
Answer the question, please. How did you cause these injuries?
It was an accident.
Not your excuse for what happened. How did you cause these injuries? Tell the jury.
I have to live with this for the rest of my life.
How did you cause that?
You have devoured my family. I've admitted to my guilt.
How did you?
And I have to live without my children. I'm done talking to you.
You are talking to me because you're sitting on the witness stand. Tell them how you caused that injury.
Although Jessica claims it was an accident, she also says she doesn't remember how she caused the injuries due to drugs.
How did you cause those injuries?
I don't remember.
Then how do you remember it was an accident?
Because I would never hurt my children intentionally. Never.
Bingo.
Tell the jury how you would not remember that.
Because my mind wasn't clear.
Why?
Because of drugs.
Tell this jury what the truth is.
I don't remember it all.
And you lied to Detective Conkle.
Yes, I did.
But you want this jury to believe you just don't remember and you're not lying to them. Look at these ladies and gentlemen and tell them. Why is it that when we watch this video of you and your husband at the sheriff's office, there's not all this crying?
Judge, I have additional questions, but I'm not going to ask them.
Now it's Daniel's turn to take the stand in his own defense, where he explains his involvement.
You're married to Jessica Groves?
Yes, I am.
Did you in any way cause the death of Dylan?
Absolutely not.
Did you have any other responsibilities in this case other than not reporting his death to authorities?
Other than helping her take him to the well, I had no other part in it.
Jessica was found guilty on all 11 counts and was given life in prison with no possibility of parole.
Ma'am, you stand convicted of the charge of aggravated murder. Will be the sentence of this court that you be sentenced to a term of imprisonment of life without the possibility of parole as to count 1.
Daniel was cleared of aggravated murder, but he was found guilty on the remaining 10 charges and was sentenced to 47 years to life in prison.
It would be my intention, by imposing this sentence, to impose a term of 47 years to life in the custody of Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections.
Absolutely insane.
You said what?
I said absolutely insane.
All these cases.
Michael's what? Yeah.
Hey, man. Y'all spam us up in the comments, man. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below. I think we didn't say it enough.
Yeah.
But until this time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are. We are.
Time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar, 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 dollar.